deism to theism. That's where the realm that we're in. Would it be outlandish for me to say this necessary being would be independent?
He would be.
Okay, so that's the first thing that we agree. Would you say that this independent being requires a will?
Yes, there would have to be a will. For assuming that.
Fantastic. Intelligence?
A different type of intelligence.
No problem, but intelligence nevertheless. And then would it be logical to presume from intelligence links to wisdom?
Yeah.
So we've got independence, we've got wisdom, and then we've got intelligence and will, of course.
The will to do
Yeah. Would you say power as well? Because power, by definition, gets its power from that thing that it comes from.
it.
So if everything is dependent,
Power is assumed. I would say not necessarily, because you could believe in a first mover without subscribing to him. Like there doesn't have to be a reason why he did it.
maybe it's the issue with power. Do you believe that there's power around us, or the power is like the potential to move?
Yeah.
And does it make sense to you to assume that power, because by definition, power gets its power from that which it depends upon? So if we're depending on something else, then the necessary being logically has power. And eternality, necessary being, makes sense. So, Alexei, that is precisely the Muslim and Islamic position when it comes to God. Do you see?
I know, yeah.
So you're now in the exact same position that Muslims are when it comes to believing. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. So you're in exactly the same position as a Muslim pertaining our position of God. Because the thing, Alexei, is, unfortunately and sadly, whenever God gets brought into the discussion, what people do is someone will assume that God is a blue individual with 4 arms.
Of course.
Someone will believe that he's an elderly gentleman with a giant beard and a really nice smile and a walking stick sitting on a cloud. But in Islam, it's وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ, which translates as, there's none like him.
Yeah.
So we're in agreement here now, Alexei, when it comes to the position of God. Now, when we accept that there is a God, part of wisdom is that if we believe God to be wise, or this necessary being to be wise, it is not befitting of wisdom to create something and just leave it, and or to create something with no purpose whatsoever. Would you agree with that, logically?
I mean, I wouldn't, because I feel like wisdom could be 2 different things. Like, he could be wise for creating this world, but he doesn't have to be wise in terms of humans. So he could have made the first step wise, that's good. He created the world. But then to ascribe that to ascribe that second human aspect of wisdom, which is learning how to live life, which is persevering, these are 2 separate things.
Interesting.
So I believe, like, for example, like Stoicism, Nietzsche's philosophy, all of these things, they're divided from a global wisdom, which would be to create the world.
But coming back to the point, if God or the necessary being, we believe him to be wise, again, it's not befitting of the characteristic of wisdom as we know it, or as we conceptualize it, either or, to form something and just leave it, discard it, or just let it wander. That's the point that I'm trying to say.
To the extent that we have free will.
Do you believe we have absolute free will?
I believe we have absolute free will.
But do you see the point that I was making? Does it make sense?
Yes. I understand. But I would argue that we have, as subjective human beings, we have absolute free will. And even if there were a creator, potentially, we don't owe him anything.
Okay, let's scaffold one at a time. So let's just say there's a giant cloud over Speaker's Corner. Yeah? And it starts raining, and in slow motion you can see the droplets coming down. would you be able to escape that rain?
Yeah.
It's very unlikely. If it's covering Speaker's Corner,
Okay. Now we wouldn't expect. We wouldn't be
do you see?
Yeah.
So there is certain level of determinism. For example, I can tell you, stand on one leg. You stand on one leg. Then I'll say, stand on no legs. Can you stand on no legs? So there's a limit to your free will. Would you agree?
Yes, but that's outside of your. As humans in our human body, we have free will. If you then add conditions to it, we don't have free will, like you said. Whenever that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as in terms of belief, in terms of agency, we have free will.
Right. So am I correct? I don't want to assume this, but you're saying that there are certain things that are determined, and there are certain things that are free will.
No, I would say it's all free will.
Okay.
Living in a subjective universe.
Right. So, but that's the thing though. When you say absolute free will, then I can start saying, okay, for the rest of the day, stop breathing. So I should be free to not breathe. You can't.
But that's a biological function.
It's a biological function, but if we're dealing with free will, breathing is a choice, isn't it? Like when you're swimming, you stop breathing.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can choose to stop breathing. But what happens if you stop breathing for, let's just say, an hour? You're gonna die. So there are certain things that are deterministic. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There are certain things we can't do. They serve biological functions. They don't impede on our freedom.
Right. So the thing is, Islamically, we also hold a similar position. Yeah. We believe there's free will, there's determinism. We take both, and it's something called compatibilism. Probably familiar with that. So that's the position on morality, on when it comes to free will and that sort of stuff that we take. When it comes to morality, the thing is that it only makes sense to go into, okay, is what God's saying about this true or not true? Is if you acknowledge that there is a God, which in terms of the way we've discussed, you don't have an issue with. The issue is then, is it with then scripture and prophets that come afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, even if I did believe in the first mover, I wouldn't believe that we owe that first mover anything. It's like, the
Okay,
theistic argument.
Yeah.
From God creates the world and then took a step back, like you said, and turned his eyes. So there could be something at the beginning of it to begin this chain that we have. There could be. I don't deny that. But I do deny that we owe that. We owe to this chain of reasoning, which is purely logical. We owe it some kind of like submission.
okay. So when we saw the fact that there's a necessary being, the necessary being has will, has intelligence, has power, has eternality, has independence. And logically speaking, you said, okay, it makes sense that it's not befitting of wisdom to create something and just leave it. So if now we've been created, we've been functioned, you're a handsome individual, yeah, and you're able to see stuff, you're able to contemplate. Whilst if you were a chimp, you'd probably be sitting with another chimp, picking nits off their back. You know what I mean? Or if you were a duck, a female duck, you'd probably be getting gang raped by other ducklings as well. Sorry to sorry about that example, but the animal world is quite crude.
Yes, it is.
So the point that I'm trying to say is that if in Islam, when something good happens, we say Alhamdulillah, it means all praise be to God. So let's just say, even when I gave you the compliment at the start, I think you look good as well. Your response is, thank you. Yeah, it's appreciation.
Yeah.
So I give you a compliment, Alexi, and you respond with thank you. If, for example, I speak another language, yeah, and you say thank you, and I go, okay, and then someone's like, oh, no, use this language, you will change the wording of the thank you just to accommodate.
Yeah.
If, let's just say I'm deaf, yeah, and I see you go, and I go to the guy next to me like, what's this guy saying? And then he's like, oh, he's deaf. Would you then use sign language, and would you change it and say thank you in sign language to me? So depending on the individual and depending on what's required, it's up to the individual how they want to be thanked. Women on Valentine's Day want diamonds. That's how they want to be thanked. Take them to Pizza Hut.
It's not going to do it.
You know what I mean? You're going to get a hand mark on your face. So the thing is, just like as human beings, we cater to each individual. God is saying, that if you want to thank me, this is the way that you thank me.
Yeah, no, I know.
Makes sense, yeah? So that's the logic that we say as well, that God doesn't want thanks. That's not how he prefers it.
Should we thank?
But that's the thing. If you're thanking me for a mere compliment, if you're thanking your wife for like, you know what, thanks for not dumping me. Yeah, thanks for sticking around till Valentine's Day or whatever it is. And then God has given you the ability to understand the world, to be treated with love, treated with respect, to love,
But
to feel,
yeah,
to be conscious. Conscious enough to go, should I or should I not even thank him? But the thing is, when you look at the intricacy of the universe, when you look at the good in the universe, when you look at everything that he has created and offered, my question is probably a counter question. Why should God not be thanked?
because we are subjectively, we're subjectively independent of him. We survive, we live, not because of God, because of ourselves.
But the contingency argument that
the
do you see?
argument, no, I know, but
Yeah.
I separate those two. So I'm saying logically, you could argue that there was a first mover. You could potentially argue it. But that doesn't mean that we owe that.
Just semantic clarification. The argument that I'm postulating is that of a necessary being.
necessary.
Yeah.
Necessity. But I'm just saying that just because that happened, just because potentially there was a first move, potentially something happened at the beginning, and that was willed by one person, that doesn't mean we owe that person anything. We are subjectively free individuals.
But the thing is,
regardless.
yeah, the thing is, you know, when you're dealing with logical arguments, there are premises, and the premises lead to a conclusion. Yeah, you need the premises to get to the conclusion. So there's a scaffolding of steps. So if we started off the discussion with, okay, there is existence. There are three types of existences, and the two existences that make the most sense are contingency and necessity. And then we say, okay, there is necessity. We are now building upon that. Yeah, so if you're saying there is necessity, there are these attributes to that, you've already conceded that. Yeah, so you accept that. It's like me then saying,
I
you
don't
see,
necessarily, like I see where the argument comes from.
Yeah.
I see where it comes from.
it's like, let me give you another example. It's like when you accept, you've done a DNA test, your mother is your mother, and then if she says, take out the trash, and you're like, oh, why do I need to listen to you? Because I'm your mother. But I don't really accept that. But we just did the DNA test 2 days ago. Yeah, but I mean, we did, and we didn't. Do you see? So the point, that's why I said at the beginning, there are certain things that in life we would accept, and we'd be like, you know what? I already accepted A, so let's move on to B now. So if you accepted A, yeah.
I'm just saying you don't need to make that jump.
Yeah.
That jump doesn't need to be made. Even if you're an agnostic individual who believes that the world, you don't know. You don't know this. It's a question mark rather than a full stop.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean then.
And which is a better position that you originally said of atheism.
Yes, exactly. That doesn't mean then you postulate that you owe that question mark anything. That question mark just serves because you're questioning. Because we don't know. Like I would say, one of the biggest reasons why I shifted my position from atheism to agnosticism is that I don't categorically know that there's no God.
Yeah.
I don't categorically know. That doesn't mean then I jump onto that bandwagon of logical reasoning and then bring it back down to today. But because it's not, I don't see him. I can't prove something I can't see. That's something I can't like, I don't know about.
Seeing as a criteria, do you think that's effective?
Same as you.
As a criteria of believing in something?
Yeah, it forms part. Empiricism. So you're limited. Seeing things in action. I mean, Aristotle's kind of things.
Inference. That's what I would say science also relies upon.
Yeah.
For example, science infers, or geologists infer, that South America and Africa were once one continent.
Yes.
Biologists infer that there is evolution. Physicists infer that there is a Big Bang. No one saw any of those three. So according to your criteria of seeing is believing, all those three things would be false.
Not in all cases.
But do you see? If that's your criteria,
It's not my only criteria. But I don't like. I don't know. That's why I can't reject something that I don't necessarily.
That's fine. But the reason that you gave for not knowing, that's what gave me. That's what was curious for me, because I don't see him. What else?
Theism, I don't see a reason for it. I don't see a reason.
But you do though.
The Abrahamic God.
Right.
I don't see a reason for the Abrahamic. I do potentially see why there could be a first mover,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't
But do you see why?
ascribe him to a
Yeah.
to God.
The reason why I'm making the distinction between first mover and necessity is because in the contingency argument, it's one thing relies and depends on another thing.
Yeah.
Do you see? So it's dependency. So when you say there's no need for God, but a person says, you know what, the contingency argument makes logical sense. It's a contradiction, because you're saying I accept the argument of dependency, but yet are we dependent upon him? Do you see? So it's like going in the circle.
It's more than just a logical. It's more than just logical. Like explanation. It's more than just that.
But the only sorry to interrupt. The only thing other than logic is illogical.
No, I'm saying he's more than just logic. He's got characteristics.
But what's the other
He's
thing?
loving.
No, but that's logical. If you're saying there's more than logic,
Morality.
no, the opposite of logic is illogical,
Yeah.
because morality falls within logic. Do you see?
But I'm saying that there's more about God than just logic. The characteristics that God has.
I actually agree with you. Actually,
The characteristics that God has is more than just, he's the first step in this long chain.
yeah. I would also argue that just empiricism is not enough. You need testimony. You need philosophy. You need inference to the best explanation. You need teleology. You need cosmology. And I would say when it comes to all of these things, it points towards a creator of sorts. And it made sense to you as well that the Islamic concept of a God seems the most rational from the ones that you've heard. Now, when it comes to, let's just say, the holy book, because that's where the contention lies, that which holy book is true. For you, what would the criteria be for a holy book to be from God?
I wouldn't believe it.
But what would be your criteria?
All the questions to do, because I don't believe that there are objective answers. There is an objective answer to a question. We believe it. That's
You
why.
keep undercutting yourself.
No, I'm saying that.
You say as a subjective individual, I mean, there's no harm in us believing in objective things. But then
Yeah.
you say there's no such thing as an objective thing. But then you say we can search for objective morality and stuff like that.
No. I mean, in the sense that I wouldn't believe in the book that professed itself to know everything.
But before, I mean, you professed that you were an atheist, but then you said, you know what?
No. I mean atheist.
So I would say the same thing, that when it comes to a book, don't hold the atheistic point of view. Hold the agnostic point of view. And the agnostic point would be,
questioning.
yeah, I don't know. And then if somebody says, what's the criteria? My criteria, logically, rationally, would be, but. So, pondering on this, what would you say is your criteria if you were to believe, as an agnostic, that is from God?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really set criteria in that way. I wouldn't.
Why don't we do it now?
We could. I mean,
Do experiment.
yeah. Because it's an interesting thought experiment. I mean, I would say that there are just like with the subjective and the objective, it's difficult to postulate that a book could give you all the objective answers because of our subjective experience.
Of course, it's difficult.
Yeah. So I'd say that each person differs. Every
That's what
person,
I'm asking you.
for me,
Yeah. For you, as Alexei.
yeah, for me it would be pure knowledge. So if a book gave all the answers about the universe that we need to know, and then it's proved by science, then yeah.
When you say answers about the universe, what do you mean?
Like the Quran has a few explanations for why the universe began. Like the Quran says it happened in 6 days, then it says it had a cloud, burst asunder, and then it says a few things about one event. So I would say that that's one of the reasons why I don't believe. But if it gave me one logical reason how the universe began this way. Big Bang Theory is theory. A lot of these things are just theories, but we haven't proved it as a Big Bang. We haven't proved it as a Big Bang. For example, now we know that the universe is much older than it initially was. So if there was a book that could logically prove to me that there was this first mover, that was this omnipotent, benevolent being, then of course I would. But it would have to be purely rooted in knowledge.
Okay, so that's your first criteria, yeah? There's an issue with this criteria. I'll tell you why. Let's just say you're at a time where everybody and the established science believes Earth to be flat. The most genius guys, the one with the bald patch in the middle and, grey hairs, wearing a lab coat, with these funny glasses, those guys, they're saying that the world is flat. Now, if somebody comes along and says, you know what? It's not flat, it's round. At that time, how do you think that person will be seen?
Of course, I mean, like, Galileo was excommunicated by the Catholic Church. But that's because of religion.
Maybe not. I mean, I can't speak for Christians.
Happened. Yeah, I mean, that's why any knowledge about the universe was...
But do you see, if the scientists at that time admit and accept that according to the best science, the Earth is flat, and then that's the criteria that you're measuring all the holy scriptures and saying, we need this explanation.
That's the scientists telling you that. That's not God.
Yeah. But your criteria was that the questions pertaining the universe, as per the book of science, the criteria of science, that's my criteria. What I'm trying to tell you is, if you were alive at the time where the Earth was deemed to be flat, and the Quran was measured by that, or let's just say the Earth is X or the Earth is Y.
I'm saying if we lived in a world of science,
yeah,
we wouldn't come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat.
No, but science by definition is something that's constantly evolving and changing based upon our observations. It's based on induction.
Yeah. But the reason why it was so long.
No, sorry. Let me just add one more thing in there. Sorry. You know induction, yeah? So it's based on inductive reasoning. You take the samples that are in front of you, and then you make a inference to the best explanation. So by definition, you can't say if you're doing good science, you would have the answer, because according to that, you would have to look at the whole sample. That's impossible. No one claims that. You have the biggest sample possible to you, and then you extrapolate, you make the inference to the best explanation. So you can never do the science that you're postulating. But now the point here is that if you're saying that the Earth is flat, everyone accepts the Earth is flat, but the Quran infers that the Earth is round, no one would believe in those days. You see? But then now, everyone says that the Earth is round, but actually before they believed the Earth is round, then they said that it's like ostrich shaped. That there's even a discrepancy in that as well. Before they believed in Newtonian physics. Then it got overwritten by Einsteinian physics. Then it got overwritten by quantum mechanics. Yeah? So it keeps getting overwritten, because science, by definition, goes through change. Yeah, and paradigm shifts.
As we learn more.
Exactly.
But that's the thing with knowledge.
But do you see, if you're measuring something with a ruler that's constantly changing, it's not a fair way of measuring.
You see, absolute. That's why we can't have absolute knowledge.
Then why is that a criteria for you?
That's why. From what I initially told you, I wouldn't believe in a book that would tell me these things, because we don't have total knowledge. We don't have absolute knowledge. This is something that's outside of our realms. We build on knowledge, but we don't have it fully, and we especially didn't have it in the 7th century.
Then, Alexei, why was the criteria for you empiricism?
Empiricism is one of them, but I just, like I said, I don't really believe in these criteria. Like, I don't really believe in these.
Tell me something you do believe in then.
I believe in subjectivity.
No, my question was, what would be the criteria as a thought experiment? And then you said empiricism.
Empiricism would play a role.
But now you're saying you don't believe in that.
I'm just saying, like I initially said, I don't really credit these criteria. Like, I don't deem something that was like the very idea that a book creator creates a book and then you have to worship. I don't agree with that. whole
What's your
system.
criteria then?
I don't really have a criteria. That's my point. Is that I don't need a criteria. Is that
Saying science is enough? What is?
Do you believe science is enough? That's the point. We're both in agreement there. Because he put forward a criteria of science.
He said that science is enough because science is always evolving.
Yeah.
You agree? So what do you suggest?
I already gave my suggestions to them. They were testimony, they were inference to the best explanation, they were philosophical reasoning.
But sir, I need to go.
Inference to the...
I need to go. I'll see you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. I'll come back
thanks
next
for,
week. Lovely
yeah,
discussion.
thanks
Yes,
for a
yes,
lovely
yes, thank you.
discussion. Yeah. Okay, you can take this. Maybe we can have a...
What is?
I mean, you...
All right.
Yeah, you can... What's your position? What's your position about... what do you believe about the inception of the universe, about how you got here? What do you believe?
I believe we evolved
We evolved from?
apes.
But that's a mechanism. That doesn't explain how the universe came into being. Evolution starts from organisms, isn't it? So how did the universe come into being?
Say the universe came into being.
I believe God created it. I believe our definition. Let me answer. So the Islamic conception of God is that He is one, independent, does not beget, nor is He begotten, and there's none like Him. That's our conception of God. Now you said evolution. Now evolution doesn't explain how the universe started.
So explain it to me.
Well, I'll tell you. You cannot have an infinite regress of dependent things. For example, would you agree that you are dependent and not independent?
I'm asking for your answers.
I gave you my answer. Is God, and then I gave you the definition of God.
That's it.
Yes, God created everything. We are dependent on God. God is a necessary being.
How
He
long
then
did
sent...
it take him?
Sorry?
How long did it take her?
Him or her or it. But the thing is, what do you think about what I've said to you? If I give you 7 answers and you don't tell me your position, we're just going
No, I
in an
just
infinite
don't
regress.
understand what you're saying. You're saying God created the world.
Right, like the baby.
How did He do that?
Do you accept that there is a God? Let's start with that premise.
I don't know.
What's your position?
I don't know. if
Because you
there-
said evolution as the beginning.
But I don't have any answers.
Okay.
I'm looking to you for answers.
Okay, no problem. So if I was to tell you about the beginning, yeah, there is an argument. Yeah, there is an argument that postulates, for example, you and me, do you accept that we exist and that
Yeah.
there is existence?
Yeah.
And there's 3 types of existence.
Unless it's a dream.
Do you believe it's a dream?
I don't, but it could be.
Okay, but you don't believe, so let's just go with your current understanding. Right. So there is something that is independent, there's something that's dependent, and there is something that's an impossible existence. So these are the 3 types of existences. Is there a 4th that maybe you can enlighten me?
That I know of.
Okay. So as human beings and as the things that we see around us, would you say that these things are dependent or independent? The tree, yourself, and just everything. Dependent. Now my argument is that you cannot have an infinite regress of dependent things. There has to be an end to that chain.
Which started.
That's a
with God.
necessary being.
So you're saying the basic initial
Is a necessary being.
is God?
Let me say it again.
Don't understand.
Let me just say it again.
Maybe
The
you understand.
the end of the causal chain, or the end of contingencies and dependencies, is a necessary being.
But listen, this is a belief. I
No.
can't argue with a belief.
It's not a
You
belief.
believe there is a God. Prove it.
I'm not even talking about a God yet. We're talking about the fundamentals and necessary being. You're conflating the 2. This is a philosophical discussion where we say that if you accept that there is existence and you believe everything around you is dependent. If you extrapolate this, you cannot have an infinite regress. Do you believe there can be an infinite regress of dependent things?
I don't know.
Let me maybe answer this with an analogy.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a waste of time.
Was that an interesting conversation?
Huh?
Was that an interesting conversation?
No, I mean, she interrupted,
Oh, okay.
but then you know when you interrupt, it's like you're bringing something to the table, innit?
Yeah.
But then when you don't know the difference between necessary being and God, you know what I mean?
What did she say at the end?
Huh?
What did she say at the end?
You know what? She tried to be smug. Like I could see she was trying to make the person next to her, like, oh look, I'll get him at this or I'll get him at that. What she was saying doesn't make any sense.